They have taken you from the Imperial City's prison, first by carriage, and now by boat, to the east, to Morrowind. Fear not, for I am watchful. You have been chosen.
My gods are strong and true, but even the might of the blades cannot stand against the power that rises to destroy us. Take my amulet, give it to Joffrey, find the last of my blood, and close shut the marble jaws of oblivion.
I have failed. We are divided. In the end, I could not unite us. Our ancient enemy has returned to reclaim the lands that we took from them thousands of years ago. And this time, the people will have to protect themselves. They must find something, anything, to hold on to, and then give their lives in service to it. The Empire depends on it.
Willkommen, bienvenue, privyat, yet annyeonghaseyo, and all the other ways that anyone might greet anybody from any other culture, language, or something. So, welcome to CreationCon. Let me see. How does this work? It is Creation ModCon 2022. It's amazing. It's one number more than last year. Anyway, this is day 2. I'm Trendane, and I will be your guide to this first part of day 2, and we can promise as much of a packed day as day 1 was yesterday. So let us not dither or tarry or dilly or dally or anything like that as we look at what we have in store for day 2. Now, as we begin the second day with the Beyond Skyrim showcase, this time we're going to focus on the Iliac Bay and Cyrodiil and seeing what advances are taking place in these two exciting provinces. And then by the way, all these times I'm about to list are UTC, so if you live in other time zones, please feel free to do your calculations. At 4:50 p.m. UTC, not 4:50 in the morning, but 4:50 or 16:50 UTC, we will have our first of 2 special reveals where we promise a wild and verdant look at an upcoming release. Then, at 5 p.m. UTC, or what is that, 1700? I haven't had any kind of discussions with math in many, many years. We're going to take your questions from the chat for our Beyond Skyrim Q&A, where we will field as many questions as humanly possible, or possibly as Khajiitly possible. We'll see. Then part 1 of day 2 ends with our Recreating Cyrodiil segment, where developers from Beyond Skyrim Cyrodiil and Skyblivion will discuss, kind of cross-project collaborations and more. We then return at 16:30 p.m. Not 16:30 p.m. That doesn't make any sense. But 16:30. No, it's not. It's 18:30. See, math. 18:30 or 6:30 p.m. UTC for a short break, and then we'll have the incredible Skyblivion showcase that's sure to make even the jaws of oblivion drop in awe, which sounds very dangerous. But anyway, then at 19:20 UTC or 7:20 p.m., our final special reveal of Creation ModCon, and it will have you thrashing in your chair in delight. We promise. We promise. In fact, you will probably have many questions at this point, so make sure you fire them into chat, because at 19:30 UTC or 7:30 p.m. UTC, it's the Skyblivion Q&A with all your answers. Every answer, all of them, even if it's, shut up. Trust me, it'll be great. And then we conclude Creation ModCon 2022 with Humble Beginnings at 8 p.m. UTC or... that's some number. Yeah, okay, you do the math. I'm not going to do math anymore. I hate it. Where developers from throughout the mod community will discuss their passion. And they're fitting into just a glorious day and a wonderful weekend. So let's not waste any more time with my hatred of math and everything else. Let's get straight into Creation ModCon Day 2.
Hello, hello. We have some pretty cool stuff to show today, so I hope you're all excited. I am Garfield. I am the creative director for Beyond Skyrim Iliac Bay. Yes, these are the middle class bits of clothing. This is one of the many really cool harvestables you're going to be finding in High Rocks forests and more than just forest.
It seems my mic was not working for a second there, but I believe you can all hear me now. Just to reiterate, I am Arcane Impact. I am the writing director for Beyond Skyrim Iliac Bay, and I am also here.
Welcome.
Sorry about that. Anyway, as we continue our look through High Rock,
We are starting here in the Tolburn Woods in the Kingdom of Faron.
which is some of the lowlands of the High Rock area, especially as compared to the other portion of 3K, Johanna. And we can see here some of our wonderful Breton castle set.
Yeah, you'll be finding castles like this dotting really the entirety of High Rock. Standing as a good testament to the ingenuity and construction of the Bretons.
And right now we've gotten attacked by some worm mouths, one of the many beasts that are going to be inhabiting the forests of Faron and the rest of eastern High Rock.
If you've played Shadowkey, you should be remembering these guys.
Yeah, slightly less polygonal than they were on the N gauge.
Some of the more astute of you might have noticed that they currently sound like wolves. Trust me, we're going to be giving them proper sound effects later on.
Yes, there's also no music currently going because we're still getting music set up in this area.
There's a lot to show, but there's very much a lot to still do.
Oh, of course. I'm also going to go ahead and pick up this.
We have another...
winter.
Yeah, we have a few more of the harvestables you find. There's winter chanterelle and there's holly bushes.
More black rose dotted around. Oh.
Here's a bandit come to stop us on the road.
One of the many that infest especially the Faron area. And with the orcish history of the area, quite a few of the orcs have turned to banditry due to just not being very well accepted amongst the local Faron people. I mean, the place was once a orcish stronghold, and that really hasn't endeared them very well to the Bretons now living in the area. Let's take a look at this guy's armor, though, now that we have it. Some of our lovely lower class leather armor.
Yes, this is the leather armor which you'll be getting in High Rock.
Yes. As well as a steel war axe.
We're just going to continue down the forest path for a bit here.
Yes, the Farron Woods have a lot of these winding paths throughout many levels. You can see there's the sheer amount of elevation going on.
I'm going to take this time to answer a couple of the questions that we've seen.
Please do.
Umbra has asked us if Wayrest is the largest settlement of High Rock, or is it Daggerfall? The answer is Daggerfall. Daggerfall is the biggest city in High Rock. Goat Unicorn asks if we'll be able to find Orsinium in Iliac Bay. Yes, Orsinium will be in Hammerfell.
Yes, we will. And it will be 4th of Orsinium, so not one that we have seen before in any of the games.
Olgado asks, will the events of Daggerfall be mentioned in the mod? Yes, they very much will.
Absolutely. As well as the events of Shadowkey, we are referencing quite highly. And Redguard. There's been many games in the Iliac Bay area, and we're taking a lot of inspiration from many of them.
Yeah, the Iliac Bay is fairly well represented, but a lot of it is quite new to see. We've seen bits and pieces, but we're hoping with Beyond Skyrim to show you the full Monty, as it were.
Yeah, it hasn't quite been represented in one complete package yet. Let's go a little bit off the beaten path here and take a look at what's around.
Check out this smaller forest path.
You can see the great variety of just brush and undergrowth throughout all of the Farron forests.
Yeah, the forests of Farron are quite thick and quite dense, and depending on the weather, a little bit spooky, a little bit moody.
It can be. You can see a little bit of fog rolling in.
This is probably one of the rare, clear, sunny days you'll get in Farron. For the most part, it's rain and fog and storms.
And you can see we're approaching a standing stone now. We don't have a unique model for those, but we do plan to include equivalent effects to these standing stones in Iliac Bay.
You can see here the Dunlane Tundra, which makes up a good section of Farron, and just up to the right you can see the Raven Fells, another section of southern Farron.
And even further up to the left here are the beginnings of Johanna Kingdom, a much snowier area that sort of lords above the rest of Farron, which is reflected in their sort of political dealings as well. Johanna is a city of artists, sort of looking down on Farron as a sort of rough and tumble city of sailors and thieves.
Yes. Farron is very much a kingdom with, 3 histories that sort of converge into a very austere and sorrowful city.
It was once ruled over by the Durrani hegemony, which was a, brutal dictatorship which enslaved a whole bunch of, most of the Bretons in the area, until they were ousted in the First Era. And then it briefly became an Orcish stronghold, And now it is a Breton-held kingdom, ostensibly within the ranks of any other.
Right. While we make our way back to the road, I'm going to ask a couple more questions that we have. Dragon Riker asks, will the ruins of the past 3 Orsiniums be featured? Yes, yes they will. First Orsinium, probably not, but we do have plans for the ruins of second and third Orsinium.
It has been a long, long time since First Orsinium. And the Bretons are not people to leave, ruins standing for simple posterity purposes.
Well, asks, will Iliac Bay add new Orcish armors and weapons? We can't promise anything on that front yet, but the plan is very much to make some new ones by the time we get to Orsinium.
We've had some very interesting concepts thrown around. Nothing I want to get specific about yet, but I think people looking
Here, we can see the headland or peninsula where we just were at the Standing Stone to give you a good idea of scale.
And one of the many wonderful vistas that you're going to be able to see throughout High Rock. Really is a picturesque area.
Somebody asks if the LOD is still WIP, I see. Yes. LOD it's updated really every couple of weeks.
And as much level design as we have gotten done, there are still plenty of pieces left to do.
Yeah.
Right now we're moving into Dun Lane, a small Bredick village. Which many Skyrim players will know due to the Augur of Dun Lane, which is reflective of the village's long history in divination and mysticism. And you can see some of the various clutter that we have. Some wooden cups, jugs. All just small pieces that help bring High Rock to life.
Yeah. Dun Lane is a very typical sort of, tiny farming hamlet. There'll be many villages just like this throughout the province.
Oh, you can see that fog really has started to roll in.
Yeah,
we're getting a little more...
The weather has started to get worse.
This is more typical of what you would see around most of the Farron region. Oh, and speaking of typical...
Here is a wereball. You'll be seeing quite a few of these.
Yeah, they are a known nuisance to much of the people of High Rock. And by nuisance, I mean very deadly.
Yeah, they are a bit of a problem in High Rock, just as werewolves are in Skyrim. Right, we are slowly approaching the Ravenfells, which are notably craggier and a bit more forested than the open Dun Lane tundra.
You can see the very apparent elevation going on. I mean, High Rock is named so for a good reason.
and we are fast approaching one of the smaller Breton crypts and the town of Carthgran.
Yes, one of the walled towns of High Rock that you'll see dotted throughout the landscape.
We aren't going to be showing you Carthgran today, but we are going to be showing you the graveyard.
Mm-hmm. Burial rites are very important to the Bredic people, and it's something that we've put a lot of care and detail into. Let's go ahead and take a look inside. It's a little dark, though.
These ruins can get yeah. Let's use a bit of candlelight to help, light the place up a little.
There you go. And now you can see the wonderful detailing on this set.
Breton crypts just like this something you'll be delving into quite regularly. Just like the Nordic ruins in Skyrim, or the Aeoliad ruins in Cyrodiil.
And they're not without their share of dangers, including these wights, which have been risen from the Bredic graves. Well, much against their normal burial rites, as Bretons really don't like their corpses being meddled with.
No. We should take a look at some of the unique weapons of that whole thing.
Absolutely. You can see some of this ancient Bredic styling on this war axe. And I believe there's a sword as well. There it is. Reminiscent of the, very rich style that you would see in modern Bretons, but definitely a bit more archaic. Take a look at some other parts of this absolutely lovely set.
These crypts are a good sort of window into the ancient High Rock.
Looks like we're getting into a bit of a larger chamber. I'm gonna make myself ready. And these wights are not without their champions, as you can see from this White King.
Yes, these crypts were really to hold people of any level of importance in High Rock, including the ancient kings.
Yes, the Dureni originally mandated all Bretons to be cremated, and once they lost power, most Bretons went back to their Nedic traditions of, protecting their dead against necromancy and burying every one of them. Oh, and this king has a very nice greatsword on him. Let's go ahead and take that.
That he does.
Very nice. And while we don't have a unique chest for these ruins yet, we do have a couple of bits of interesting loot for them, including a new spell and a very nice steel mace. And I think we're about done here. Wouldn't you
Yeah.
say?
I'd say so. Let's take one last little look at the grandiose halls of the Breton Crypts.
We've had a lot done in the past little bit, in the past year, Iliac Bay, but we've still got a lot more to do. And if you're interested in joining us, Iliac Bay is looking for new writers, 3D artists, level designers, and implementers.
We have worked on a lot, and we have shown a lot.
Oh yeah.
But we know you've all tuned in to see some cool stuff, and we have one last little thing to show you.
Oh yes we do. Stay tuned.
How does anyone become a criminal? Perhaps the gods simply dislike us from birth. First, they gave you skills. They taught me to sail and to fight. Guided me to a life at sea. Then they decide whether an honest life will have you, or if you must scrape and claw for any life at all. When the Empire made peace with the Falmor, they lost the respect of all of Hammerfell. Now both Crown and Forebear spit on the Empire's abandoned forts to keep their hate strong. The men of Kespar would rather push this one into the sea than reclaim or rebuild it. Their loss, my gain. This sea is an untamable dragon. It rages and storms, tossing the treasures and horrors that lie below onto these little islands. Someone like you might make use of such things. Do you hear that siren song? The call of the waves. The Abyssian awaits.
All right, everybody. I hope that that was thrilling for all of you, as it was for me. So now we've talked to the folks from Iliac Bay, and we're moving on to talking to the people from not Skyrim, no, Beyond Skyrim. It is well beyond Skyrim, a little bit beyond, kind of just south. Cyrodiil. How are you Cyrodiilic folks doing today?
Hiya. Doing good.
Okay, good.
So today we're jumping straight into it. This is a little bit more of a focused showcase than some of the other ones. It's just a little thing because we've been showing off a lot of stuff in Cyrodiil already. We're going to do a little quest in Nibony, and we're going to explore this little town of Mothlight. Just a like a very focused little video. I'm Ria. I'm the narrative director, one of the narrative directors on Cyrodiil, and I've got Bellatrix and Mr. JDT. Do you want to introduce yourselves?
Yes, hi, I am Bellatrix, so I'm one of the co-leads for Beyond Skyrim Cyrodiil, and I also work in Dungeons and Interiors.
Hi, I'm Mr. JDT, and I am the exterior lead for Beyond Skyrim Cyrodiil.
Cool. So we're jumping straight into this. One thing to note straight away is that the voice acting that you can hear is not actually voice acting. It's AI-generated voice lines, which will obviously be replaced by proper voice acting in the final product, but it's just to give you a idea of, so that we can actually hear people talking to us and give us an idea of the quests and stuff. But we've arrived in Mothlight, which is a small town halfway between Bravil and Leowyn. You might have seen it on the map at the start. And it's one of the towns that we really wanted to kind of showcase a bit of the Nibonese culture. There's a lot of that culture that we wanted to really dive into. And there's a lot of weird and wonderful things in this town that you probably might be looking at already.
Most of us were killed or were taken away.
Yeah, we added Mothlight because in lore, like the Nibonese mentioned as this kind of highway basically through Cyrodiil with tons of like towns and villages and stuff. So we've really tried to build upon that piece of lore, because in Oblivion there was like Water's Edge and that was about it. So we've added a few small towns, like Mothlight's one of them. We have a few other ones like the Cadlu Chapel. That was just a single church in Oblivion is now its own small town, which if you watched our Bravil stream, we visited there. So we've really kind of, wanted to bring Niboney more to life and make it this rather interesting place. So it's not just this empty wilderness. There's a lot of people to meet and see and talk to and quest with and, have a bit of fun.
Yeah, especially because we've got so many settlements in Colovia. We wanted to make sure that there was just as many in Niboney. And yeah, this one is you can see we've tried to kind of really drill down into what like the quintessentially Nibonese culture and explore that a little bit. You can see they've got face paintings on some of them. That woman that we just spoke to indoors was a battle mage as well, or a retired noble mage, I believe, of some kind. And yeah, and these people are Nibonese through and through.
They've got different clothing. So if you played through Bremer or saw our recent Skingrad walkthrough, you might notice that a lot of the clothes are quite different, and that's again just playing on the different split between the cultures.
We're jumping straight into a quest here as well. We're going to do one quest over the course of this showcase, just to showcase the little town. And this one involves this man, Ganius Piranhas, who the villagers in this town believe is a powerful saint, a living saint, though some other people might have some other conflicting ideas about that. And he's asking us to do a favor to retrieve some potions from the Renregia Kryn, which are in the area, which you might know from elsewhere, are kind of a Khajiit faction that bleed into Cyrodiil. One of the advantages of working really closely with elsewhere is obviously that we can kind of collaborate on this kind of stuff, which is really nice.
If I were you, I'd check at one of their camps south of here. They were last seen headed that way. I'm not worried about how you get the potions back, but I'll be in a
one of the other big differences between Oblivion's Blackwood and our Blackwood is we've tried to, I don't know if you noticed when we're outside, we've made it a lot more swampy. Boardwalks and things like that the villagers used to get around, compared to Oblivion, where a lot of it was on the land. So we've really tried to big up that kind of swampy feel, and as you can see outside, there's water everywhere. It's wet. We've kept the tree types that you saw in Oblivion, but we've really kind of heightened the experience, kind of thing.
So right now we're getting warned by Corlia, this witch who lives in the village, to not trust Ganius, because she believes him to be a fraud, basically. This quest, we're going to have a choice at the end of how we resolve it. There's going to be a three-way choice. So again, that goes back to our quest philosophy that we talked about before of trying to offer a meaningful choice, even in the smallest of quests, wherever we can. Not every quest is going to end up like that, but this is a great showcase for it.
I think one of the things we've tried to do is give a few more options for role players. I personally hate all the quests in Skyrim where you're kind of forced down one path where there's a few quests I've only played once and my character would never do that, so I'll avoid doing that quest, whereas hopefully most of the quests we write do have a few options for sort of changing the outcome depending on what choices your character makes.
We can see a good little look at where we're just about where we are on the edge of the Niben. This is a shrine as well, tended by this this moth priest, which we've got here.
I once spent a year doing nothing but studying the patterns on their wings.
That's another aspect of like the Nibelese culture we really wanted to bring in, isn't it? The kind of spiritual side of it. So different towns and different peoples will have kind of, although many of them believe in the Eight, they'll also believe in various like water spirits and various other kind of gods and spirits and things. They're a lot more spiritual people than, say, the Colovians are. And that's something we really wanted to bring in, because you don't really get much of that in Oblivion, so we do really look at the lore sources and kind of reintroduce those where it makes sense and where we think it gels with what was seen in Oblivion and wasn't completely out there.
So we're on our way to the Renregia Kryn camp now to retrieve these potions for this supposed living saint. The friendly witch of the village has warned us that these potions are the source of this supposed saint's power, and so she wants us to expose him as a fraud. And first of all, we have to retrieve the potions, and then we can decide what we want to do with them, whether we want to give them back to him, back to her, or expose him as a fraud to the family that have taken him in. So,
I'm not an expert, but he did seem a little bit sketchy.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's fairly obvious, but you still get the choice. It might be for the greater good to let people believe in him. Who knows?
That's very deep. That's deeper than my playthroughs ever go.
Got a really nice shot here of the jungle. Jungle Cyrodiil.
Yeah.
It's here.
Yeah, it's something we wanted to lean really into. We didn't want to just kind of copy what Oblivion did. No offense to Skyblivion, I know you're taking it in your own direction, but we, kind of took our direction and kind of, looked at Oblivion and went, we can do better. We can bring it in line with what was mentioned before. We didn't want to go crazy, so it felt like a completely different place, but it now feels, like its own kind of distinct biome compared to Oblivion, where it was a lot of hills, trees, and grass.
That is one of the nice things about Beyond Skyrim as well. So we can do a lot more blending of biomes. So obviously this will lead into Black Marsh, so it's definitely getting a bit more sort of marshy and swampy, because you don't suddenly transition to Morgonia and it's kind of like, oh, it's a swamp now. That's one thing that I think the Bethesda games can't really do, because it's just a province in isolation, but all our border regions do sort of have a bit of cultural blending between Cyrodiil and whichever border that they're alongside. So hopefully you saw that in the Skingrad trailer as well, but obviously this is a lot more swampy because it's near Arcania.
This one deserves his praise, if anything, for such a skillful death.
Isn't it?
This one would be amused, but the pleasure of drinking away again his power pleases him better. Impressive. This one will live like a king with such riches. Take them and leave.
such riches. 68 gold.
Yeah, leveled gold.
Seems very happy though.
Yeah, he's happy with it. You can see there as well, just talking about that cultural blend, that was a camp for the Renrija Kryn, so rather than just a standard bandit camp, we've repurposed some assets from elsewhere to give us like a proper nice feel. That's one of the major advantages of working on like a project with loads of other teams, is we can steal and blend and do all kinds of stuff. So that Renrija Kryn camp had some lovely assets that made it feel a bit more Elsewhere-y. It's courtesy of Elsewhere, not us. But hopefully whenever you're playing any of the projects, even if you're not playing them together, you will still feel like it's part of a larger world.
Though why you wouldn't want to have everything installed at the same time, I don't know.
So we couldn't persuade the Khajiit, but we managed to bribe him into giving us the potions back. And now we're heading back to town and we're going to make our decision about what we're going to do with them. Just having another quick look at the map as well to show you roughly where we are between Bravil and Leowin, right on the banks of the Niven. So this whole area is very, very big and vast, as you can see. So hopefully people will have a lot of fun exploring these jungles, because they are chock full of settlements, quests, and dungeons and all kinds of wonderful things to find. And the atmosphere, the atmosphere on them is just incredible. It's really, really good. And that's thanks to JGT and his landscaping team. So
yeah, I'm really proud of the landscapers we've got, because they've really kind of turned. Back when I joined Beyond Skyrim, this area, we tried doing it with the region generation, and it really just didn't work. But like doing it by hand has created this really wonderful jungle feel, which really taps into what Nibene should be, basically.
I love the sound effects as well.
Yeah,
you hear them in the background, the water, the birds and stuff. It's amazing.
Every time I go around,
as well.
Yeah, every time I go around Cyrodiil, I end up with a massive like smile on my face, just because like, even if I'm not doing a quest or something to try that out, it's like, the amount of work we've put in and kind of how it looks just brings a smile to my face. I'm super proud of what everyone on the team's done, really.
We've got a ruined mage tower there that was mentioned earlier in the showcase, and we've also got the ferry, which is really, really cool. So we've got a lot more fast travel options other than just the carriages, which you might have seen in one of our previous videos. We've got the ferries, which work as well, and that's a big part of Nibenese culture that we really another thing that we wanted to include. They work just like carriages, except they take you to various coastal places along the Niven, which is very cool. And there is actually a quest involving a very specific quest involving the ferrymen, which is really cool, which we're not looking at today, but yeah.
Guess we have some hard choices to make now. Who do we give the potions to?
Exactly. So we're back in town, and we can either give them to the witch, or we can give them to, and she'll use them for her own ends. We can give them back to the man who asked for them, and everything will go back as it was. Or we can give them to the people in this town who are helping the saint and expose him. I think we're going to expose him. I think that's what we're going to do, but we have to wait until daytime to speak to them. Just taking another quick look around as well while we wait for them to come out of their house.
So these orange trees are actually a bit of a placeholder, because Mothlight is called Mothlight because it actually kind of farms moths for their silk.
Yeah, so those are going to be mulberry trees, aren't they? Hopefully.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is another one of those things that was lost in Oblivion a little bit.
These people seem very lazy and not want to get up today.
Yes, so I think we're going to have to break in.
Well, it is a Sunday.
It's Morndas, actually.
Sunday for us.
Well, The quest was working perfectly up until this point, so something had to go wrong. So.
It wouldn't be one of our streams if it did.
You're not
If everything goes right, it's not fun.
That's okay. They've all come out now. We just had to break it. We had to open the door and let them out.
They lost their own keys.
So we're going to speak to the mother of the family, and we're going to expose them, I think.
Oh, the door's going to push you away.
What? That's a lie, a blasphemous lie. I'll hear no more of such talk from you. Do you understand? Lady Emmeline acts like she owns the town, but her family doesn't rule anything anymore. All she has is her house in that Daedra. Swamp monsters, half man, half crab, half kraken, billies. They breathe the lightning and eat human flesh. Lady Emmeline insists on using the mage's name for them. Sounded something like drakes or dregs. Whatever you call them, keep your eyes peeled and your legs ready to run. You expect me to believe that Genius has been fooling us this whole
It's a little
time?
hint for some of the monsters that we're hoping to have later in the future.
Oh my, I feel wonderful. Wait a moment, you're right. It's the same feeling. Why, I never. We paid this
Oh,
man
someone's
kindness,
just said
and
in
this is
chat
how
the
he
voice
repays us? Deception.
acting
Come
mod
with
is
me.
really
I
bad.
believe someone has some
It's just
explaining to
AI
do.
generated placeholder voice lines for now. It's all obviously going to be recorded by voice actors, but that won't happen until we're just about ready to release, just to make sure it's all consistent. So just for playtesting purposes, at the moment we use AI generated voice lines, but they are very much uncanny valley. It always freaks me out slightly listening to them.
Yeah, it just makes it easier for us to test stuff, really, and to get an idea of things. And
Genius, you
That's close,
deceptive
but
pile
not
of
quite
garbage.
right.
You fed us nothing but lies.
Fabia, you don't understand. The witch is trying to trick you. She brewed those potions.
Except you were looking for this potion not long ago. It's the actual source of your power. You've been slipping it in our food.
You took everything we had, you fraud, poisoner, heretic.
I had a feeling this was coming to pass. I came to try and stop it, but it seems I'm too late. Fine. This filthy town can sink into the swamp for all I care.
Don't return if you value your life.
a bit funny that they all just walk away like that, but we'll do something about that. But yeah, that's it. I hope you really enjoyed just this kind of very small little showcase of Nibene and one of the quests we've got. We've got hundreds and hundreds of quests in this mod, so this is just a very, very, very small slice of the pie, as it were. But we wanted to just show you something that was we thought would be a nice little representation of some of the stuff we've done this year.
Welcome to Valenwood. We're glad you could join us as we take a look at the diverse and varied home of the Wood Elves, as well as the Elder Scrolls Valenwood project itself. When picturing Valenwood, you might be imagining huge trees with leafy canopies, tall pines and ancient oaks. You might think of nimble Bosmer darting through the forest, bows at the ready. And you'd be right, to a point. But Valenwood is far more intriguing than that, I assure you. Valenwood's diversity is unparalleled, a fact highlighted by the inclusion of the lowlands known as Reaper's March and the North Wood in our pre-release. The core pre-release region of Arenthia Hills borders both Cyrodiil and elsewhere. Towering cliffs overlook wild grassland, caves burrow deep into the rock, and the region contains multiple alien ruins to explore. After centuries of neglect, these ruins hold dangers and mysteries only the bravest can uncover. Our primary city within the pre-release is the bustling trade hub of Arenthia, a cosmopolitan haven mixing Bosmer, Khajiit, and Imperial culture. It is a city of sharp contrasts, a place of hope for many, one which hides lies and corruption beneath a veneer of sophisticated charm. The Dominion reigns supreme, Yet outside influences have coloured the opinions of many elves, some of whom value their trading relations with the Empire more highly than their Dominion loyalty. The Bosmer inhabitants of Valenwood are split into two large categories. Those who have adopted the ways of the Aldmeri Dominion, and to some extent, the Empire, are known as Cosmopolitan Bosmer. Their adherence to the ancient customs such as the Green Pact is, shall we say, flexible. On the other hand, tribal Bosmer are stern adherents to tradition and keep the old ways alive. They are considered fearsome opponents by any outsider who dares approach. From the beasts that hide in the wood to the ever-present danger of the dreaded wild hunt, Bosmer contend with more than their fair share of peril. But not all creatures are hostile, and the province contains wondrous beings found nowhere else. The Bosmer have learned to coexist with their fantastical neighbours, but a stranger to the wood might find it a bit more difficult to adapt. The Elder Scrolls Valenwood project embraces all the diverse aspects of this fascinating province, delving deep into existing lore, as well as creating fresh in-house lore that brings new life to this often neglected region of Tamriel. We also benefit from a strong working relationship with Beyond Skyrim elsewhere, and with the Alinor project, which allows for essential collaboration within the Dominion provinces. With the help of talented writers, artists, implementers, and designers, we are already well on our way to bringing you a pre-release comparable to Beyond Skyrim Bruma. As you can see, our 2D and 3D departments have crafted the first of several armors that will be available in-game. Thanks to our team of dedicated writers, the Elder Scrolls Valenwood pre-release is on track to be entirely written, edited, and ready to implement by mid-September 2022. As you can see, the team has been very busy crafting over 100 NPCs and dozens of quests, as well as in-game literature and skill books. Our team is also working on new creature models, a few of which will be incorporated into the pre-release, with far more featured in the main release. These range from centaurs to satyrs, giant bats to wood orcs, and will make Valenwood a province like no other. Meanwhile, level designers are examining the structures of new building types such as Khajiit houses and, of course, tribal architecture that reflects a society where wood can't be used. We are always welcoming new and talented recruits. In particular, we are interested in 3D artists specializing in creatures or vegetation, and concept artists skilled in architectural drawing, but any modders with the skill set to lend a hand are welcome. If you're not yet sure if you have the chops to help out, look into the Arcane University, where you can learn every discipline from experienced modders. Our project is built on collaboration and creativity, so if you feel you can add to Valenwood, please submit an application. We look forward to welcoming you onto our team, and to bringing everyone this wonderful game. Thank you so much for listening, and please, if you have questions, now is the time to ask.
Actually, when we were getting ready to do that reveal at the very beginning, I was probably talking to nobody because I kind of screwed up my transition. I was like, wait a minute, they're already... and now I'm hearing myself because I've got the stream running. Anyway, there, muted myself in myself thing. But here we are for the Valenwood reveal. And obviously, as we stated before, if you guys have questions, please feel free to ask. And I am joined by Mr. Rob C. Wilson.
Hello.
And Mr. JGT.
Hello.
All right, gentlemen, talk to me.
What would you
or
like
them?
to know?
I don't know. I actually probably talk to them. I already know, but nothing.
So yes, we are the leads of the newly promoted Beyond Skyrim Valenwood team, and we're here to answer any questions that you may or may not have. I can see some already. Do you want to read them out to us, Trendane, or shall I just read them out?
Oh, God. Okay, I guess I should do something to earn my paycheck. Anyway, so from Mr. Plumrich, we have, will the trees walk?
Unfortunately, no, the trees will not be walking. During the Oblivion Crisis, this is proper law, the tree, well, Falinesti itself rooted, and we're taking that all the trees kind of rooted due to the threat to Tamriel at the time. And for whatever reason, they have yet to start walking. So maybe that's something we'll touch on. Maybe it's not. You'll have to find out.
Which, from a gameplay perspective, is an absolute godsend because walking trees in Skyrim would be disastrous. It would be so difficult to implement badly, let alone well, that it's just as well that they don't walk. Quite honestly.
Maybe they're still stretching, getting ready.
Maybe they are. They're warming up. Yeah, I mean they're trees after all. Yeah.
From Delicious Nuts, we have: will there be any naked wood elves?
Well, we can't say conclusively that there won't be any, but they will almost definitely normally have clothes on. Yes.
There is a dance shawl which traditionally is worn with nothing underneath, but we probably won't make that too graphic. So they probably will be wearing something of some, or it will be hidden that they're wearing nothing underneath.
All right. Next question, also from Mr. Plumridge: will the Bosmer get their horns back?
Yeah, we've made it so the Bosmer having horns is tied very much into their kind of religious kind of piety. So those who are more following the Green Pact and in tune with Y'ffre, they have got horns, whereas those that have, kind of fallen from that path a little bit, don't have horns. So that's why all the ones you see in Skyrim don't have horns, is because they've left Valenwood and don't properly follow the Green Pact, etc., etc. So yeah, and some rich people pretend that they have horns by having little headdresses with them on to pretend that they're more pious than they actually are, because that's what people like to do when they know that that's a status thing.
And we just hit it. Okay, there it is. All right. So from Parchment 543, is the dense and tall forest a performance consideration?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Yes.
We've got some workarounds that we're going to kind of are our big kind of technical challenges to kind of work through. Exactly how we do that yet, we're going to try to do some clever ways to have that dense foliage and dense canopy, but not mean that everyone can only play the game at a frame a second.
Yeah.
Or with my previous computer, 1 second per frame.
Yes.
So from Matt Rebich, we have: how much overlap is there between previous Beyond Skyrim team members and the Valenwood team?
Oh, I can answer this one. So almost none. So one of the biggest considerations that we had when we were preparing to apply to join Beyond Skyrim was that exact point, because the biggest concern about new teams joining is that it is a drain on existing teams. So before the writing team joined us from at Mora, we had about not more than 90% of people in the team had never been in modding, let alone were in Beyond Skyrim. So there is very little overlap. Obviously, now that we are part of Beyond Skyrim, more Beyond Skyrim modders are joining the team, but the answer is very little indeed.
From Floyd Vincent: will we get race-based dialogue like with Faendal? Will we be greeted as a fellow Bosmer?
Yeah, though, one thing Beyond Skyrim as a whole tries to do is more dialogue based on many of the choices you take. So that's one of the first choices you make when you play the game, is who you're going to play as, and therefore the dialogue that you receive should reflect on that.
We have one here from Dragon Rider: will cannibalism be a thing?
It's already a thing, isn't it, in Skyrim? So it's going to be expanded upon, which I'm sure Mr. JGT can help me out with. But yes, it's definitely going to be a thing.
Yeah, obviously a big part of the Bosmer kind of cultural element is their following of what's called the meat mandate, where if they kill anyone or anything, they have to eat it within 3 days. So it's one reason why Bosmer aren't big on wars, but generally speaking, if you annoy a Bosma too much, they might kill you and eat you. So, be careful who you're talking to and what you say in Valenwood.
I mean, it's, recycling and not abandoning things. Okay. Let's see. Do we, I guess we should go ahead and transition now to our next bit of thing, which is the Beyond Skyrim Q&A, or no. That's what we were just doing, wasn't it?
We've just had the Valenwood QA. Now
Okay, no, we do
Skyrim.
need the Beyond Skyrim. Okay, right. So we're going to jump to, wow, see, this is why I'm usually a voice actor and not a master of ceremonies, because I'm a professional. Professional what? Who knows? Okay, so we're going to jump to the Beyond Skyrim Q&A. Right. And lo and behold, here we are. Isn't that cool? It's so smooth. It's like a well-oiled, deep-fried green tomato or something, which probably involves a lot of whatever. It doesn't matter how much oil is involved.
Dwemer construct. There you go.
Okay, cool. Those are the ones that don't spray sparks all over everything and set your robes on fire, which I definitely appreciate. So we are here now to do the thing that I talked about a moment ago with the Iliac Bay and Cyrodiil Q&A from all the questions that we have gathered together for from you, chat. And still, if you have more questions, feel free to put them into the thing, and we will try to fill them in as we go. We have with us Bellatrix, we have Garfield, we have Mr. JGT, and we have Ria with us to answer your questions.
And me, Arcane Impact.
All right, let's start with an Iliac Bay question. Oh, yes. And Mr. Arcane Impact, I keep forgetting. It's like you've been muted for so much of the thing that Anyway, so we'll start with an Iliac Bay question from Niller1. Will there be more custom animations for Three Kingdoms with the new breakthrough?
Yes, we've been looking at the new custom animations very excitedly for some particular creatures within Iliac Bay. Our current focus, at least for Three Kingdoms, is on getting dragonlings working. No promises, but that's what we're focusing on currently.
Cool. Gonna go with the next. We have a lot more questions for Iliac Bay, so I will kind of filter in some of the Cyrodiil questions. But first, another one for Iliac Bay from Umbra: Is Wayrest the largest settlement of High Rock, or is it Daggerfall?
Daggerfall.
Yeah, 100%.
Daggerfall is. Wayrest and Daggerfall are very much rival cities, but Daggerfall takes the cake for the biggest city, not just in High Rock, but for the whole Iliac Bay region.
All right, one for the Cyrodiil team. Unfortunately, the name is Russian, and I don't read Cyrillic, so I don't know how to pronounce this. But the question is, Cyrodiil will be centered around the power struggle regarding the heir to the Emperor. What if the player hasn't killed the Emperor during the Skyrim storyline?
Yeah, so this is something that we went over a lot. This is something that, since we came up with the idea for this storyline, we've had to wrestle with. But essentially, the Emperor will die, whether by your hand or someone else's. Essentially, at the start of the questline, the Emperor will die and create a power vacuum. If you haven't already killed him yourself, then someone else will kill him. This will mean that you can no longer do the Dark Brotherhood questline, but there will be a warning in the game when that is about to happen, to let you know that you're about to lock off some vanilla content to yourself. That's the best compromise, basically, that we could do. But it should work. We're taking a lot of effort to make sure it works in terms of what's the word I'm looking for? Consistency, and depending on whether you've started the questline or not, and all this kind of thing, it should feed into the main questline of Cyrodiil in a way that makes sense. There won't be any plot holes. we've worked very hard to make sure of that.
Nice. From Goat Unicorn for Iliac Bay, will we be able to find Orsinium in Beyond Skyrim Iliac Bay?
Yes, I believe.
Yes.
I believe we touched upon this during the walkabout, that we will be including 4th Orsinium in Iliac Bay, as well as ruins of at least 2nd and 3rd Orsinium. 1st Orsinium, it's been a very long time since then, and it's very likely that that area has been kind of built over.
Right.
Yeah.
You did
Fourth Orsinium, you will find it nestled in the mountains between Hammerfell and Skyrim.
It's in the Dragon Tales, correct?
I'm not sure if it's the Dragon Tail. I think it's the Dragon Tales. Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah.
Alrighty. From Folgado, will the events that happened in Daggerfall be mentioned in the mod?
Absolutely.
Well,
I mean, it had a huge effect on the, surrounding area of the Iliac Bay. I don't know if we're going to specifically mention the, it's kind of weird with the Dragon Break as to what actually happened and didn't happen within the climax of Daggerfall, but you'll see the effects of some of that.
Yeah. It's hard to sort of promise that specific events will be mentioned when the majority of High Rock hasn't been written. It's down to a writer if they want an NPC to sort of mention Yegarthan or any of that stuff. But the warp in the West has had a very profound effect on the political landscape of High Rock.
From Frying Pan, and I just lost my place. There it is. How much of the main quest has been thought of? Is the writing finished?
For Iliac Bay, we are still relatively early in the writing process. The main quest we're kind of poking at ideas for, but we actually don't have a set structure for it yet. And if you are a writer who's interested in helping us out, please apply.
There are plans for the main quest, although writing, obviously we're focused on writing Three Kingdoms. We want to get Three Kingdoms out, and we want to have you all playing it, having fun, before we really start to dive into the full Iliac Bay release. It makes sense to sort of take it bit by bit,
I was thinking a main quest for Three Kingdoms. That was my assumption. Sorry.
In terms of the full High Rock main quest, no, we have ideas. We've got plans for it, but we are focusing on writing Three Kingdoms very much.
Yes, we still have some settlements to populate first.
I also want to throw this question to the Cyrodiil team regarding writing being finished or not.
Sorry, could you answer the entire question?
No. Yes, absolutely. How much of the main quest has been thought of? Is the writing actually finished yet? Because you kind of touched on it during the
right. So the main quest is one of the last things that we're going to do, because first we have to populate the world. So the main quest, we've done a lot of planning on it for the last year, actually, and we have the building blocks ready to go. I did a lot of that narrative design work, and it was really fun. And I think the structure that we have for the Seat of Sundered Kings, which is our main quest line, is really, really, really exciting, with lots of choice, lots of player choice, lots of devious backstabbing, loads of great political intrigue, and it's going to be really fun. The writing will not start on the main quest, though, until our writers have finished other parts of the world space, which are our priority at the moment.
They can't do the main quest until they've finished their tea.
Yeah, pretty much. They can't do that. They have to eat their veggies first.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we saw how long it took to get them out of bed to finish that quest. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. So for the next question is from Niller, and I did see this one towards the beginning of the thing that we're talking about. From Niller 1, will there be unique Breton magic? Mainly for
There'll be new spells for Iliac Bay. Well, I mean, in terms of unique Breton magic, shadow magic is a major part of High Rock, and we will be touching on it quite a bit. We can't promise. We can promise things, but we don't want to spoil that just yet. Yeah, we want to let you guys wait and see just how we're going to work it in.
Will there be different fish in Orsinium than the ones in Skyrim?
We're going to be making unique fish for Iliac Bay. Unique fish for Orsinium, that's the kind of thing that we aren't really thinking about yet, because we are very much focused on Three Kingdoms, and sort of plans for exact, like, harvestable critters are, they're not set in stone for anywhere outside of Three Kingdoms.
And fishing especially.
It can change in Three Kingdoms still, you know?
Yeah, and fishing especially is something that we've been discussing how much we are supporting that.
Yeah, well, it's hard to add new fish to the Creation Club, like manual fishing, but we can always add river fish that you swim and grab the old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
You could have laughter fish instead of
exact fish those will be. Yeah. What exact fish those are going to be for Orsinium, that is something that we'll let you know when we get there, basically.
From Dragon Record, which I saw this one very early on, could you open the world map? Which you can.
No, not anymore.
When I saw this,
you can do it right now, but you won't be able to see.
Yeah, that's true. From where was it? Right, I read the fish one. From Bebop Bengal, has the OST been implemented for Farron yet?
It has not.
Well, Farron shares the same soundtrack as the rest of High Rock. I mean, of course, there'll be sort of regional differences, just like there were in Skyrim. However, we haven't gotten it all in-game yet. But the Three Kingdom soundtrack is released. You're free to take a listen to it whenever you want.
It's on
It's
YouTube.
available on YouTube?
Yeah.
Yep, thank you.
It's a lovely composition.
On YouTube. On the Beyond Skyrim. Sorry, I should have said that.
Well, that's okay. We got there eventually. For the Cyrodiil folks, this one is from the Corinthian, which I love your work in Sandman, by the way. Absolutely fantastic. Is Portia a descendant of, and I do not know how to pronounce this name, is it Beyond Emilion in Oblivion?
Right, so that was a NPC that was in Water's Edge, maybe? I think. Yeah. Well, that's up to you to decide, basically. I'll leave that up to your interpretation.
Probably yes. You can ask
Maybe
her.
Yes, maybe no. So from Emperor Hotspot, are there still Dureni High Elves around in High Rock during this era?
Yes, there are on the island of Balfiera.
A very small amount
at the
by this
Adamantine
point.
Tower itself. Yeah, they are not a very powerful group. But they're there. What they're gonna be, how we're gonna sort of adapt them, we don't want to spoil all that for you just yet. That's one of those things that will let you play the game and will let you see for yourself.
And from Axiomatic, which cities are the home of magic in High Rock and Hammerfell, like Winterhold in Skyrim or Skingrad in Cyrodiil?
In High Rock, just about every city is magical. If you want the basic explanation. But for where you're going to go, really, for the Mages Guild in particular, I think that's still up in the air a tiny bit. For Hammerfell, what's it called? Elinhir. Sorry,
Yes.
I forgot the name briefly.
Yeah,
Elinhir is a very magical city.
Yep.
And we have some stuff planned for Elinhir. But once again, we're not going to spoil it for you just yet.
Wait and find out. For the Cyrodiil folks, from Brad DeLay, in more serious terms, then you shouldn't have had me ask this question. If you're relying more on the old lore of Nibene, will you make the shores of the Niben River and Lake Remer red?
It's something we currently don't have, but I know it's something we've toyed with, and it's probably a direction we will move into. We do like to keep that lore accuracy, so we probably will do that in time. We'll just want to find something that looks good, that doesn't look too bright or anything, or too silly.
Really? It looks like it's a Czech name. So, from Savd, will the player's role as the Dragonborn affect the story? This is apparently for Iliac Bay. Will it be possible to roleplay a non-Dragonborn character?
Yes and yes. Skyrim has the ability to have conditional dialogue, so you can only be mentioned as a Dragonborn if you are the Dragonborn, if you've completed the quest where you go to High Hrothgar. Similar principle to Bruma.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
And yeah, it's pretty much the same for us as well.
We won't force being the Dragonborn on the player, and being the Dragonborn will not affect the main story.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to speak for all the teams, but I think that's basically the route all the teams are going. So, you won't be referred to as Dragonborn in any BS mod unless you are actually the Dragonborn, and certain provinces will care more or less whether you are the Dragonborn, but they probably won't care that much.
Except for Atmora, right?
Yeah, Atmora it's made conditional. But for example, if you go down to Valenwood, then you'll say, I am the Dragonborn, and the Wood Elves will look at you like, I don't know what that is.
Dragon what now?
Same with most of the Red Guards around Hammerfell. They'll be like, cool.
All right, back to Iliac Bay, which I think the last one was also whatever. From Brad Delay, is Farron sort of the dark and desolate region of High Rock, kind of like Ravenloft?
Ooh, thank you for the
I wouldn't
D&D
say.
reference.
I wouldn't say dark and desolate. It's still quite lush. It's still fairly verdant, minus the tundra, but it's gloomy and it's austere.
In terms
and
of...
there is crime. There is, sort of a ramshackle, busy and seedy port town vibe.
Yeah, in terms of D&D references, I feel like Farron is a bit more Saltmarsh than Ravenloft, and perhaps North Point is a bit more of that gothic Ravenloft kind of vibe.
There is still a bit of the sort of gloomy fantasy aesthetic to Farron.
There's a mix in both places, absolutely.
There's a tiny bit of dark fantasy to really a lot of the rugged east of High Rock, When we get to the city itself, we really can't wait to show it off.
Yeah. From some guy, please. Speaking of, who knows what speaking of, but I remember when this came through. Will we be able to become a wereborn? I almost said warbear, which is not the same thing.
I don't think we're planning on the player to be able to become a wereborn yet. If we find a good way of doing it, I think it would be interesting to include, but there are no, we don't have any 100% plans on, yes, X or Y questline will give the ability for the player to become a wereborn.
Yeah, I know that messing with the werewolf system in Skyrim can be very tricky, so we haven't kind of locked in any of those ideas yet.
Okay. So we'll jump back to Cyrodiil questions. We have several from Delicious Nuts. And the first one, I love, will it be more fun to play these mods as a low-level scum? If I was high-level, will there still be a thrill of finding new items?
We hope so.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a little bit subjective, but yeah.
I mean, we want to make sure that, no matter what level you are, you come to Cyrodiil, you're going to enjoy yourself. We don't want it to be as kind kind of rigorous to say if you're only above, level 15, then you can do stuff in Cyrodiil. It's like, no, we want, even if you're a level 1, you can walk into Cyrodiil and enjoy the content there. We do plan on having stuff that caters to the more higher end player base, because obviously some people will have saves from years ago that they're very fond of and want to take to Cyrodiil, and don't want to just start again just for the sake of doing Cyrodiil, and want to take their Dragonborn down there, and will be a high level because of that. And we want to also cater for them so they don't feel left out either. So hopefully no matter what level, and it's something we still have to implement, is you should have fun, and it shouldn't be a confusing or boring experience. But we do plan on having, for example, the Valus Mountains. Due to the scale of Cyrodiil, we've had to, and how the Bethesda region size works, we've had to cut a section off and put it in its own world space. And because of that, we've decided to make that area a little bit higher level than like the normal Cyrodiil world space. So hopefully when you go into there, you'll want to be kind of bringing your best gear, and as a high level player, hopefully that is the place that you can really kind of feel challenged.
All right, let's rapid fire this one, because I think it should be fairly quick. Another one of Delicious Nuts' other questions. Can followers from Skyrim follow me into the Beyond Skyrim projects? I want to take Lydia with me.
Yes, but they might not have a lot to say.
All right, and go ahead.
Although I was wandering around Cyrodiil with a follower the other day, and they do say more than I was expecting. But yeah, unfortunately, we can't go back and add extra lines to sort of vanilla Skyrim followers. So they might be a bit quiet in alien dungeons like that. But yeah, they can definitely go with you. Whether you actually want to pick up a region-specific follower on the way, just because they might be a bit chattier, I'm not sure. But yeah, you'll definitely be able to take them with.
Cool. Back to the Iliac Bay guys from Callum Murray. Will the Iliac Bay content be geared toward higher levels or associated with lower level players, which is sort of kind of what we were talking about a minute ago?
It'll be geared towards new players to be able to make a start in Iliac Bay, and of course it'll level the same as Skyrim. You'll be able to, if you wanted, have an alternate start in Iliac Bay, get a full Skyrim experience, level normally, and everything will scale with you.
And there will be certain areas that will be geared towards more high level, similar to vanilla Skyrim.
And if you jump into Iliac Bay with a level 50 character, expect it to keep up with you.
All right, from David Kasparov. Is the town of Oldgate being included in Beyond Skyrim's version of High Rock? It was my favorite in Arena, and it even exists in ESO as a big gate between zones.
Oldgate will be there. What exactly it will be, we haven't fully thought it through yet, but the plan is for Oldgate to be there.
It is not included in Three Kingdoms.
No, it is nowhere near Three Kingdoms.
That'll be a full release.
Alrighty, for the Cyrodiil folks, will there be guild quests? Any new guilds, or is it only the guilds from Oblivion?
There will be guild quests. There will be new guilds. Not every guild from Oblivion will be there either. So some have changed.
Okay. Again, from the Corinthian, will we be able to craft, acquire, and temper/improve the white armors?
Not currently planned, no.
Okay.
Oh, I want to lobby for that. I definitely want the right crown. That looks amazing.
If we include any armors, it'll be a restored ancient Breton king's outfit, like the White King was wearing. A bit less worn down, a bit less battered by the millennia that they've been spending down there.
Are the whites just Draugr without shouts?
There's a bit more to the whites. There are a couple extra enemy variations that you might encounter, such as the sorcerers. There's a little bit extra to the whites that you'll see when you play the game. I mean, for the most part, though, they are sort of your equivalent of whites. Your equivalent of Draugr. They fill that same niche. You know, they're human-like enemies that drop the ancient Nord tier weapons and fill out your main dungeons.
And for the Cyrodiil folks from Pyrus, how many more settlements does Beyond Skyrim Cyrodiil have compared to the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion?
God, I don't know.
Okay, cool. Great answer.
That would
At
require
least
me to
12.
know.
I'm just counting them now. 14,
There's definitely more.
15,
We can
16.
safely say that there's a lot more. That's all I know. I don't know how many there are.
16. 16, I've just counted. There are 16 more settlements of some. Well, that's towns and villages, not including farms, etc., etc.
Oh, there you go.
We tried not to go too crazy, but we have tried to flesh it out a bit.
Yeah.
It's really hard to not do mission creep, although it's something we bear in mind. But yeah, we've tried to sort of pad it out so that it's more like sort of backstories and literature, you see, but without making too much work for everyone.
It's the heartland of the Empire, at the end of the day.
All right, for the Iliac Bay folks from XG417, who also in the parenthetical said that if this answer contains major spoilers, you can disregard the question. But the question is, what are your plans for the Durrani Tower?
The plans contain a lot of spoilers and very few non-spoilers. I'll spoil one thing. There's a lot of spoilers.
It's a very important location.
Bastard.
Well, no point in playing now, is there?
Yeah, really. What the hell? From Guar, for the Cyrodiil folks, will some of the knightly orders make an appearance, like Knight of the Thorns, for example?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, was that
I heard
Cyrodiil?
knightly orders and...
Must be.
Cyrodiil
It's
also
knightly
has...
orders,
It's just
you know, my
Pavlovian
brain
for
went all-
Garfield at this point.
I think we touched on it
Both?
a little bit in the Skin Grab playthrough, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
We
Yes.
talked to someone from a knightly order. He was a bit down on his look.
Yeah, self-plug. Go and watch that stream on Beyond Skyrim's YouTube channel. There you go.
With added lag.
No. The second one didn't have lag. So it's all good.
We don't discuss the lag.
Extra spicy lag.
Yeah.
And the Knights of the Thorn were mentioned specifically. They exist as well. I remember.
For the Iliac Bay folks from Asha, I practiced this name in my head like 6 times before trying to read this. Nurzinski. There, I think I got that right. Will there be any special focus on adding Breton ingredients / recipes? I've always wanted to RP a Breton chef. That would be really cool.
There will absolutely be new food to make for High Rock. And there's been some toying with the idea of more complex food recipes that give buffs to more than just a health increase. You know, finding truffles in the ground in the forest might be useful for some slightly better recipes. Nothing in depth.
To Cyrodiil. From Mild Psychedelic, is Sunkra Tor still a ruin in Cyrodiil?
That's one of the 16.
No, is the answer. No is the answer, and we're not saying any more than that.
Getting some conflicting messages there. Anyway, back to Iliac Bay from David Kasparov. How much inspiration comes from Arena / Daggerfall in the map? Will the town of Oldgate be... Well, we kind of covered that second part of the question.
There's a fair bit of Daggerfall inspiration. Obviously, we can't include everything in Daggerfall. Because Daggerfall was massive, and our High Rock is not the size of real-life England. It's about a third of the size of Skyrim's map. So a lot has to be removed to keep good gameplay flow. But there is a lot of Daggerfall still there, because really, the game Daggerfall was a very strong foundation for the world building of Western High Rock and Northern Hammerfell especially.
Cool. Let's see if we can rapid fire these, because we've got about a minute and a half left. I think maybe. Will Iliac Bay use Dumak or style Dwemer ruins from Beyond Skyrim Morrowind?
No, they won't. They'll be Skyrim style ones.
Nice. For the Yeah. For the Cyrodiil folks, from Ray, will there be shrines to different Daedra / gods and even human saints across Cyrodiil? Could they grant their own blessing?
I don't think we have shrines, but we definitely have amulets.
Within reason as well. We might have some like makeshift shrines here and there.
Yeah.
But no, like we can't specifically model hundreds of shrines, but we will allude to their existence for sure.
Okay. For the Iliac Bay guys from Folgado, will Iliac Bay have refined version of Daggerfall's soundtrack?
I believe some of our soundtrack already takes
There are
inspiration.
a couple of Daggerfall songs that have...
Okay, finally.
There are a couple of shared motifs.
All right, our last quick fire question from Ocean Gaming. Which cities of Cyrodiil have been finished in terms of 3D modeling?
The ones we've shown off, basically.
There you go.
Oh, in terms of 3D modelling, it is more, isn't it? So we've shown off a few.
The ones we've shown off.
It's a very specific question, which I don't think we can answer truthfully.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to answer that question.
We have more towns
Stay
in
tuned.
terms of 3D, but that doesn't mean that they're ready to show off.
Stay tuned to the Beyond Skyrim YouTube channel, as we will be showing more off in the future. That's end of.
All right, there we go. Oh my God, guys, I'm so glad you found us here. It's like we were gone forever. But what we have now is our Cyrodiil podcast, Recreating Cyrodiil, where we will talk with the two teams and see how they've managed to work together to bring Cyrodiil back to glorious, vibrant life. Why don't you folks go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Hello again, I'm Mr. JGT, and if you've not got sick of my voice yet, then thanks very much.
Hi, I'm D Keys. I'm from Skyblivion, and I just realized I'm severely outnumbered.
Yeah, unfortunately, Rebel couldn't be with us today, but I am Deagler, and I am a editor and writer on Beyond Skyrim Cyrodiil.
Hi, I'm Bellatrix again, so you're probably sick of my voice too as well by now, but hopefully we'll be able to answer some of your questions in this session.
Woo!
All right, cool. Thanks, everybody.
We got?
Go ahead.
What kind of topics we got today, Trendane?
Oh, I guess, I should probably look at that channel on the Discord. Let's see, where did they go? Well, we could go with maybe one. No, maybe not.
I think it's like what people are kind of working on right now.
Yeah, probably. Now I'm feeling like I'm completely out of my depth because I'm not sure where the stuff that I'm supposed to be like teeing up for everybody are located.
Nah, it's fine. Currently on Cyrodiil for editing, we've been working on locking Skingrad content, so that's been a lot of fun. We had that Skingrad trailer recently for anyone who's been watching our YouTube channel. So that's cool. Progress being made there, and still some things to be squared away content-wise, but we've moved on to editing briefly for Coral, actually, and that's been a lot of fun. So things are moving along.
Nice. And what about the other half of this? The half. We've already covered the whole outnumbered thing, so it's not really a half, is it?
So yeah, Skyblivion's been chugging along. Lately, I think one of our biggest sort of goals is we're trying to just get the entire overworld finished by the end of the year. So I think we quite recently more or less finished the Gold Coast, finished the Breville area. We've got Blackwood finished and navmeshed. We have more or less the Gerald Mountains finished. We got the city of Cheydinhall finished. Anvil is very far along. Leywin, the city of Leywin's finished. The city of Breville is finished. Bruma's been finished. Thank you to you guys. The assets helped.
Right, yeah.
And yeah, so we're going to be hopefully finishing it up this year. The Cyrodiil World Space, that is, not the entire project. Don't get excited.
Funny thing is Beyond Skyrim Cyrodiil is in a very similar position to that. We're kind of getting towards the end of having a lot of our landscaping side of things done, and our next kind of big thing is tidying up a few areas that need a bit of work, and then it's on to the massive task of nav meshing. So it's good to know that you guys are in like a similar situation.
Yeah, we've been like locking it off, like one region at a time.
Yeah.
Blackwood was the first one finished, and so I was like, "There you go, it's done." And then Navmasters take it away, and they look at me very sternly, and they say, "Don't touch this, okay? Don't make any changes when we're working in here, because it will break everything."
Yeah, that's the one reason why we haven't kind of started nav meshing yet, is because it's just because unlike you guys, we have like, writing constantly going on because we're writing new quests. There's ever little tweaks here and there, every kind of, oh, can we have this? Oh, can we have that? So it's like, let's not nav mesh until everything's ready.
Yeah, that still happens even though our writing's already done.
Yeah.
I'll still look at something and go, "Oh, I wish I could fix this," or "I wish I could look at this." And you just have to go, no. I said it's ready for navmesh. It's ready for navmesh.
Yeah, I did a lot of the Bravo level design, so like every now and then I'm like, oh, I could have just done this, and it's like, no, it's finished, it's fine. You don't need to do any more. We've got it all implemented. You don't need to touch Bravo anymore.
Yeah. Okay. I saw somebody is asking what navmesh is. That's probably good. Probably we should. Yeah. So navmesh, it's like navigational mesh. Basically, it is wherever an NPC is allowed to walk. That's basic.
It's basically a bunch of triangles on the floor that basically tell NPCs, here is fine for you to go. If there's no nav mesh, they'll just stand in one position. So sometimes in streams you'll see us see wild animals and they'll just stand in one location, and that's why. Whereas if there is nav mesh, like you can see on the Bravo stuff, people can walk around and interact with things.
Yeah,
that's why
so
you
can
occasionally
imagine
jump on a rock and cheese, because the NPCs can't get up there, so you could just stand on the rock and hit them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can maybe understand why that goes last. Because if you nav mesh first and then you place your city, then you're telling the NPC they can run through a wall that is there.
And they will try. They will repeatedly try. Quite fun to watch. They just like run against the wall, being like, "I can go this way," and you're like, "You really can't."
Yeah, I saw the like that Skyblivion video where you kind of introduced yourself as the guy who did Leowin. Are you like the main city builder right now for all the other ones that you guys are working on?
I did a tiny bit. I did a slight bit of layout for Cheydinhall as well. The main reason I did Leywin was that was my landscaping claim, which was Blackwood. Those two sides of that Nibbin, and so Leywin. I think no, actually, sorry. Bruma was the first city ever done, but Leywin was like the first city revamped. And like Cyrodiil, we kind of looked at the original concept art, and we kind of wanted those like islands, those channelways that the ships could actually sail to the Imperial City to.
Because how else is the boathouse quest meant to work?
Yeah, exactly. But I'm not the main like the city builder. It's usually whoever's region it is. So we have someone working in the Westweld, so that means their claim is also Skingrad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's down to whichever landscaper it belongs to. We'll be seeing Breville in the next to the upcoming showcase, and that was done by the Ludist. So it was.
Oh,
So
cool.
let's
Yeah.
show that off.
Yeah, I'm excited for the showcase tomorrow. Anyone who's watching right now, show up to the Skyblivion showcase tomorrow. They got some cool stuff coming, I'm sure.
It's after
not
this
nav
one,
meshed.
not tomorrow.
It's not
Oh,
nav meshed.
not tomorrow.
I-
It is next stream, I mean. Yeah, thank you.
I mean, you're welcome to watch the VOD tomorrow.
Yeah.
I tortured one of our nav meshers to quickly quickly nav mesh Breville for us for the stream, and there was a complication. It was like nav meshed in a ESP dependency that it shouldn't have. So they nav meshed Breville and it couldn't be used. So I feel so bad for them.
Oh wow, yeah.
No. I did a lot of the nav meshing for Bruma, and it's pretty soul destroying after the first few days. They have my condolences.
How long does it take to nav mesh something like Broma?
Oh, it wasn't just the two of us, but primarily two of us did it, and it took a month, and that was pretty much me working on it every single evening and
dying
pretty much all the weekends as well. I was working full time and then doing another full time job just nav meshing. It was it was interesting. So I'm not looking forward to the rest of Cyrodiil's nav mesh.
Oh, I'm forcing the entirety of the Cyrodiil Exteriors team to do it. Like, there's no getting out of it, guys. We've all got to do it. This is your warning.
Oh, that's. I think that's going to be the same for Skyblivion, because we have like the landscapers and then the nav meshers. But I think at a certain point, once we finish all our like interior dungeons, all our interior work and landscaping work, we will be converted into nav meshers.
Yeah, the triangles.
Yeah, cult.
So, for anybody who doesn't know, like the differences between Skyblivion and Beyond Skyrim Cyrodiil, what are basically the differences between the two projects?
Do I do this one?
You could do that one, sure.
So, I know I'll probably get it wrong for Skyblivion. So my understanding of Skyblivion is it is recreating Oblivion, but in Skyrim's engine. So it's going to be a story from Oblivion, all the sort of the quests, and it will very much look like Oblivion, but in a more up-to-date engine. Whereas Beyond Skyrim Cyrodiil, we're creating Cyrodiil, but in Skyrim's timeline. So the events will be contemporary to what's going on in the timeline that you play Skyrim. So sort of 200 odd years have passed since the events that took place in Oblivion. Obviously, quite a lot has changed. Kvatch was destroyed in Oblivion, but it's been rebuilt in our version of Cyrodiil and things like that. So they're it's the same region, but they're sort of very fundamentally different mods with different aims.
Yeah, pretty much.
Lots of time has passed in Beyond Skyrim Cyrodiil. Lots of changes. Some things remaining, familiar, but yeah, lots of time has passed.
Okay. What's been your most recent collaboration between your two teams?
To my understanding, it was the asset sharing with the cities, right?
Yeah. I think we currently have an ongoing one. Is it Kazuhide, who works on the Imperial architecture? I think he's doing it for you guys as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for the Imperial City stuff, I'm not 100% sure on how that's being handled. It's like if it's direct model replacements or if it's going to be a bit more kit piece like. But yeah, we'll be using similar, the same models.
I think
There
the
might be some
Aliens
slight changes.
as well, that was largely made for both teams, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, sometimes we do asset swaps, but that's a bit different where one team's made them. It's kind of like, oh, hey, do you want this? But there are a few bits where we sort of work on them together.
Yeah, and I know that in 3D, there's a lot. There's crossover. There's some people that are on both teams, I think.
Yeah.
So there's some of that going on too.
And to further expand on that, do you have any future collaboration things that you guys can talk about right now?
Well, like it was mentioned, the Imperial City is probably
I think that's the biggest
our
one.
big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's a massive tile set for both teams to work on, so there's no point in making it twice, kind of thing. It makes a lot of sense for us to kind of share the same thing, because the Imperial City hasn't changed a lot in the past 200 years. At least we've decided that's the case. So yeah, it makes sense for us to share that workload and kind of both of us feed in on that and create the best we can.
And since you guys are going to be doing forced labor on nav meshing, I presume that you will both be not redoing each other's nav meshing on the Imperial City, but right, yeah, that would suck, I imagine.
So we will to some degree.
I wanted to ask. Oh, go ahead, GGT. Sorry.
But we will have to kind of do the same bit of nav meshing kind of thing to some degree, just because of we can't copy. It's the one thing we can't copy over. But also, yeah, there'll be, I imagine, slight changes in clutter and things on the streets that all facilitate a different nav mesh for each one.
Yeah. So Skyblivion, they assign like one person an entire region. Is that like the same as the way we do it on Cyrodiil, JGT?
No, I broke regions down into more kind of bite-sized chunk areas. Just because sometimes giving people, we used to have it so people had whole regions. Like when I first started, I was given the entirety of the Heartlands minus the Imperial City kind of area. And I did that over the case of, a few months, but like my interest started to wane a bit. So when I was made lead not long after Bruma's release, I kind of broke areas up, which I found worked quite well. So like using rivers and things as natural boundaries, to kind of break those areas up into kind of bite-sized chunks for people to do has worked quite well. And breaking cities off as their own claims so they can kind of be worked on and got to a point where they can be implemented in advance of the area around them necessarily being done.
Yeah, I imagine for Cyrodiil it'll be like all hands on deck, like just gonna be kind of difficult. We'll have to segment it in a different way, I guess.
I already have a nav mesh map that I'm working on, which will have some ridiculous number of claims just because of how I'm breaking it up. But I've made those into reasonable sized claims that hopefully won't cause people to run for the hills once they see the size of them.
Yeah.
I thought the plan was just to give it to me and say, good luck.
Right. Send her into the coal mines again.
There you go, Claire. We'll see you in
Pick up where you left
2033
off.
when you've finally finished.
I was going to say, which I was very much not on board with.
Yeah. No, I will be enforcing a mandatory nav meshing system.
You'll have a whole slew of people thinking, I've got a thing. I have to go and get my tongue waxed. I can't help you with this.
That is often what happens.
Yeah. We have many questions going by in the chat about Minotaurs or Minotaurs if you're not American. Which, of course,
there's one in our Skingrad trailer.
Can you date him? Better question. Can I date him? Probably not. Yeah, probably not. Anyway, so we're closing in. We're down to like 10 minutes, pretty close to 10 minutes left in this thing. So I'm going to hit you with the most difficult question of them all. What would you say is your biggest achievement, or are your biggest achievements, plural, for this past year? Aha, that's what I thought.
Personally, on Cyrodiil,
second to sink in, yeah.
Personally, on Cyrodiil, it's kind of redacted. I don't want to mention it too much. I mean, if you've been in our Discord, you've seen me hinting at it, but like I don't want to say too much. I mean, we have touched a little bit on it in this thing, if you could read between the lines, but no, I'm not gonna say too much.
That really doesn't help fill out this 10-minute block.
No, sorry.
It's sadly a horrible question to ask like creative people because they're so critical of their work. Plus, at least for me, I've been in drone mode for the past 6 months, just placing trees and rocks. So I've just been
every tree and every rock is an achievement.
Like, I don't know. Am I proud? I don't know. I guess it looks nice.
It's like when I was watching Lord of the Rings and Samwise says, if I take one more step, it's going to be the farthest away from home I've ever been. I'm like, are you going to say that for every other step on this whole thing?
Yeah, there's a meme of that somewhere.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I guess I mean I've had my editing hat on for the past year. I was originally writing kind of in the Anvil sector. Love the Gold Coast. It's awesome. It's all paradise vibes and Florida retirement home kind of vibes. But basically, yeah, I've been in editing for most of the last year and just now not even, I've had to familiarize myself with Skingrad content, the characters, the quests, and just trying to make it like as fun and thematic as possible. There Our editing department's relatively newer. It's newer than a lot of the departments we have, and just kind of getting things ironed out in that way. We got a bunch of new editors after we made an application for our website. We didn't have a listing before, now we do. Little test that you can take if you think you can be an editor, and we got a great response to a recruitment call we did for that, and yeah, been making steady progress since then. I think it's more like an organizational thing rather than a content thing, but I'd say that's probably like the biggest achievement for me this.
I really like how polished the whole Calovia region's starting to feel. So obviously we've done our Skingrad sort of walkthrough this year. We spoke earlier in the live stream about there's a lot of choral editing, and I've been spending the past few months doing sort of like final polishing on the choral interiors as well. So there's quite a lot of Calovias coming to life now, which is really nice to see. So every time I pop in game, there's more NPCs wandering around Coral. It's like, oh, someone's been busy. So yeah, that's quite nice. And I think Anvil's got it's a bit further behind, but that's definitely starting to get a bit more finished feel to it as well now.
Do you find a lot of that where like you kind of been nose to the grindstone on your own piece of the project that you're working on, and then you go in and you find yourself surprised by some of the work that someone else has completed since you last looked at it?
Oh, it's amazing. I really love doing our live playthroughs as well, because I'll just be sat there going, wow, this is different from the last time I saw it. So you don't actually spend that much time in game when you're a developer. It's mostly in the creation kit sort of doing stuff, and then you might go in and test that one little specific bit, so you don't really get a feel for everything else that's going on. And suddenly if you've got a bit of free time, or we're doing a live play or something, it's just like, blimey, a lot has changed. So that is a really nice thing to see as well, actually.
Would that be the same for Skyblivion as well?
It's always great getting to see work you didn't do, because it's crazy to kind of see this thing growing before your eyes.
Yeah.
I'd say I tend to, because we've been churning out our regions pretty quickly this past year. I think last merge, our Clovian Highlands got finished. Rebelsies did that himself, and then after that merge, he moved on to the Cold Coast, minus Anvil, and he more or less just blasted that out, finished it. And I haven't even checked that out yet myself, so I can't wait. I haven't even checked out the Clovian Highlands yet from last merge, so I need to plan maybe like a big walk south, just start at the top and go south. But yeah, I can't wait to like walk through it myself.
Nice little nature walk.
It's usually difficult to kind of walk through your own work and see it through the eyes of the player.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always great looking through other people's work.
We've seen this question pop up quite a bit. Will Cyrodiil use Skyblivion goblins?
No, we've got our own. Yeah.
Yeah, because Skyblivion's got the. I mean, I don't know about the tribes in Cyrodiil, but I know Skyblivion had that highlight in their dev diary. Just lots of character to the goblins, which was
we've
really funny.
Tribes.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, what disciplines are you most in need of for your respective teams?
I would say
yeah.
definitely for Skyblivion, it is 3D architecture. So 3D artists specializing in architecture. It's definitely one because if you think about it, if you don't have, say the 3D models for like an interior tile set, like an entire dungeon tile set, that means an entire like interior department can't work on that. So sometimes you get little things like that act as a bottleneck. So definitely, if there's a very little 3D architecture, means level design can't move on.
Right.
We only recently just got our interior Iliad set finished. We're free to move on from that, but our people are pretty quick. To like go back to the last question, like one thing I'm proud of is like our interior department, that like how insanely fast they're moving. Too goddamn quick for our 3D architecture guys to keep up. So yeah, it's definitely something we're in need of. It's 3D artists for architecture.
Cyrodiil?
I have no idea.
Okay.
We always need
We always
dungeon
want
people.
everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
dungeons is. I was thinking it was interesting because it's pretty much the other way around for us. So, we're definitely sort of dungeon designers at the moment. We were sort of editors, but we had a really successful editing recruit. I think we're not too bad there at the moment. But I mean, I think all departments are always happy for more people to come and join us. But yeah, dungeon designers is definitely a bottleneck for us. I'm desperately trying not to do a Rosacrea plug at the moment as well.
I mean, what I'll do is I'll do an AU plug because, like, for any of the things that we've just listed, the Arcane University Discord link is, and if there's no link in the description anywhere, should be just an easy search on YouTube. Is the Arcane University? They have curriculums and all kinds of resources set up for people to learn modding in Skyrim, in any of the different areas. Voice acting has its own thing, writing has its own thing, level design. So if you're looking to get involved, that's a great place to start. Or if you already have the talent, definitely apply. We could also use writers, I think, personally. We've a lot of our writers have they're taking a bit of a hiatus, but some of them, the ones that have been mainstays are still hanging around. But we could always use new eyes, more people to write, especially with this Imperial City stuff coming up. We'll definitely need all hands on deck for that. So.
Yeah, someone very early in the stream was asking about voice acting, and as one of the voice actors on the thing, definitely go and check out the Arcane University, because they can certainly help you learn or point you in the right direction if you are sufficiently skilled to help with any of the projects.
One thing we do need on Cyrodiil is we need people who are good with the lighting, because like I am always envious of Skyblivion's lighting, because I mean, it's one of the nice contrasts between us is Skyblivion has this really kind of bright kind of feel to it, like, the Empire is at its height kind of thing. Whereas we're kind of going for a more different kind of Empire in decline kind of feel, but their lighting is so much better than ours because a lot of ours is the vanilla lighting stuff.
We don't even have our lighting guy anymore.
Oh,
he left us for Dark Souls 2.
Oh man.
So like people are, when they're told like, oh, do you mind if I like work on lighting a little bit? We're like, you be very careful, because like, we don't have that guy anymore. We don't have that guy anymore.
Yeah,
he ain't coming back.
You're not that guy, pal.
We're down to about a minute. What would you say, just real quick, because I saw the question go by in chat, what is like the general size of your two different teams?
Oh, it's such a hard question to answer. There's
Okay, then say I don't care.
In,
there's well
involunteer-
over 100 people
Right,
in
yeah.
Beyond Skyrim Cyrodiil. But in terms of active sort of how many, to be a bit businessy, in terms of how many FTEs we actually have working on the mod, it's really hard to estimate because obviously people are busy at different times, or some people might have holiday, sort of the summer holidays off, so can work loads over then and then go back to school and aren't around anymore and stuff. So it's actually really hard to say how many people we have working full time on it.
Same for
But
Skyblivion?
every little
It's the exact
really helps.
Okay.
Yeah,
Then
it's
we
the
won't
exact
worry
same
about
as
it any
Skyblivion.
further. And
We're
that
the
brings us
same, you
right
and
to
I.
time. So this brings us to the end of the first part of day 2. We will be having Karis will be the MC for the second half of the day, and they will be talking about stuff that they will be talking about.
Be more Skyblivion stuff.
Probably, yeah, because I don't have that image up in front. I've only got 2 monitors, so I'm like, I don't know what that thing. So for those of us who have joined you, no, those of you who have joined us, that's how it works. We hope you've enjoyed this. Stick around for the second half of the day. It will absolutely be fantastic and glorious and wonderful, and pick a bunch of other adverbs or whatever, or adjectives. Crap. Okay, I've forgotten how to English, which is why I'm not doing the second half of the day. Thank you all. Stick around for the second half, and we'll talk to you guys later on.